Hey, I'm Jason at Zaengle, and in this Zaenglab episode, we are going to look at how to organize complex information within a modal in user interface design. Our example is Garbanzo, which is an educational app for Spanish teachers. And where I'm at now is I'm in the assignments view for a particular class. So a teacher would come into the Spanish 3 class. Here are all the assignments, open, upcoming, and past for students within that class. The primary action throughout all of Garbanzo for teachers is to assign lessons to students. That's the first and foremost point, is to understand what the primary action is for your users within your application. If you can't define that, that's step one. You need to go back and make sure that you understand this is the job that my user wants to complete. So once I click create assignment, which is the primary action, I get this modal, which is an absolute beast of a modal. And complex information doesn't always have to be displayed in a modal. In our case, this was the best design pattern, but it could be a stepped flow, it could be an individual screen. There's lots of different options that could be best for your application depending on what it is. In our case, a modal works. As you can see, there are 3 actions that we want our teachers to be able to complete within this modal. Now, a couple of things to call out here. It is a beast of a modal, but we have taken some steps to make it much more intuitive. So first and foremost, as I mentioned, we know the primary action that we want our users to take. More importantly, what they want to take, which is assign lessons to students. And then we've organized it in a very intuitive way. So there's 3 steps. Who is this for? When should it happen? What should be assigned? Those are the 3 things that a teacher needs to first understand, and then second, be able to take action on. The other point is we have purposely written this microcopy so that it's just easy to understand. We haven't used technical terms like class list and date range and lesson content, or kind of vague terms like that. Instead, we've said, who is this for? When should it happen? What should be assigned? Microcopy is one of those things that's often left by the wayside, and it can be super important in user experience design because it can really help your users understand what they need to do, and it can really support them in completing the objective, which is ultimately our objective as designers. So the information contained in this modal as it relates to general UI and UX design is not that important. It is important for our teachers, our users, but what is important is making sure that we understand the primary action, making sure that we are very clear in the steps that a user needs to take, and making sure that we are organizing this information even if it is super complex, which in this case it is. We have advanced filters, we have multiple date ranges, we have the ability to assign lessons to multiple classes or default to the context that the user was in. We have a live search functionality here. There is a lot going on, but as you can see, it feels clean, it feels well organized, and it feels intuitive. As a teacher, I can come in here and I can quickly say, yeah, I understand what's going on here, and I know how to take these steps and ultimately complete the objective of assigning lessons to my students within this very complex modal. So by following those patterns, whether it's in a modal or a stepped flow or an individual screen, making sure that you understand the primary action, making sure that you're clear with microcopy, making sure that the information is well organized, making sure that any secondary actions are clear for users who, for example, want to use multiple filters or things like that, but that don't get in the way of the primary use case, the majority use case. Those are all important in organizing complex information within a UI.